Hello guys, my name is Diego Pacheco and this is another Java video. And in this video we're gonna cover Spring Boot at configuration annotation. So this is an interesting annotation and there are some aspects of it that I want to cover. Mainly around binary coupling and configuration versus development experience and commodity, and also reliability in things in a sense like order of operations and stuff like that, right? So let's get started. So I have a multi-module um, Maven project right here. So basically I have 5 projects. So I have AlphaConf, BetaConf, CAConf, CBConf, and Spring App. And I have Pwn here, which is like the parent Pwn that has all these modules, right? So if I clean install, I can build them all. So they are all Spring Boot apps. They could be lightweight at the end because the Spring Boot app really is this one here. But I was lazy. I just copied the same dependencies everywhere. But actually, what you want to do is just to have annotations dependencies on these ones here, right? What we got here is that we have configs in different projects, right? So we have configs on the same project and have configs in different ones. So let's understand that first. So the application, it's a standard Spring Boot application. There's no big deal here. You see the annotations like Spring Boot, enabled configuration, component scan, even in different projects, you will see exactly that the package is the same, so my components can gonna get that. Then, so that's the main application that we're gonna boot. And I have a dummy controller here just saying hello world, but it's not special at all. Let's look the conf folder. So on the Spring app, I have 3 configurations. I have last, 1, and 0. So last is a name, says config last. There's a last class, which is a component, and I define a bean, which is get last, when I'm gonna return last. So this is gonna be used to inject this here. And the only thing I do is I'm printing loading last, putting a time here so you can see the timestamp when it was loaded, and I return an instance of last. The exactly same deal I do with 0 and 1. So 0, I have a config 0, it's a configuration. I have a 0 class here, I have a 0 bean, and this bean is gonna be used to inject it here, right? And also the time. And the same thing for 1, right? So I have 3 different classes. And the reason why I'm doing things like this is because then I can know precisely when the bean was created, and we're gonna be able to try to determine ordering, right? If possible. If we go back to other projects, then let's say alpha, I just have one config, which is config alpha. It's the same structure as the other ones. It's a configuration, there's a component, and there's a bean defined in that component, right? And the same happens for beta. I just gonna quickly open here, right? And you can see it's exactly the same structure, but name is beta. And I have the same thing for CA here, right? And finally, the exactly same deal for CB. So you can see different projects, right? And where I am going with all of this, right? So what I was trying to understand is, okay, can this be reliable, right? And the answer is no. The order, when you have multiple projects, it's really hard to rely. However, I could realize some patterns, like let's run the application and we're gonna see what we're gonna see. So as I run the main application, we're gonna see some ordering, right? So here you can see that what was loaded was last, then 1, then 0. And all these three are actually on my project, right? So they're here. And then all the following ones, beta, CB, alpha, and CA, are from 4 other jars, right? We can run, let's run these. So it's last one 0. Let's run this again. So last one 0, beta, CB, alpha, CA. Let's run one more time. Okay, last one 0, beta, CB, CA. So the order of execution is exactly the same. All right, so what we can tell is that what Spring we're gonna do, it's first gonna load the configurations on your own project and then the other jars. But are the other jars reliable? Well, not really. I realized that, and that's a bit funny, but the order of the dependencies in your POM changes the order of the loading. So you can see here that there was beta, CB, alpha, and CA, and that's exactly the order, similar order that we have here, right? So we have CB, then we have alpha, then we have CA. Oh, sorry, we have actually beta. So that's, sorry, it's exactly order of the dependencies here, right? So we can see that CA is the last one, right? And let's make a test, right? So I'm gonna cut CA. I'm gonna put CA on the top, and then I'm gonna do CA, and I'm gonna do CB, and then I want beta and alpha. So it's not really alphabetical. So we're gonna click here to reload the configs. We are not adding or removing jars, we're just changing the order on the pom.xml, right? And if I stop this app and run again, what we realize here is that we have CA, CB, beta, and alpha, right? So for some funny reason, the order that you put your dependencies change it all, right? So if, for instance, I could put alpha on the top, all right? Now it will be alpha. Let me switch CB, then CA, and finally beta, right? And if I click here, so alpha, CB, CA, and beta. Let's run. And what we see here is alpha, CB, CA, and beta, right? So that's definitely happening. The order of the dependencies is influencing the load. But what I want to call it out is, okay, so we have some way to know that there is an ordering. First, you're gonna resolve your project, and then you're gonna resolve other jars. But the fact that I want to point out here is that I wouldn't call this reliable, and I also believe that although it's convenient for developers to ship configurations, because then you don't need to be worrying about how to define Spring Beans and etc. That creates a binary coupling, because then you always need to maintain that configs. And what happens, let's say, if different services need different configs, so this could be sources of headaches. So it's, in my point of view, it's much better to not ship jars with configurations. In that sense, if we look my POC here, these 3 here will be fine because they're all inside of my app, but these 3 are not fine, so I should not be shipping those, all right, because I'm creating coupling. And then if I stop doing something in my app, now it needs a config B, and I don't have a config B anymore, I'm gonna have trouble, and then I will need to figure out who was loading that config, right? So that could be a bit challenging. You might need to scan through your whole source code using something like a GitHub search, or there's a new product called SourceGraph that can help you to do a better GitHub search as well. Or you might need to do a git clone everything and do a grep in command line. But what happens if you have like a lots of repositories? So the grep might be hard. So this can be pretty tricky, right? So I would say that you want to avoid shipping configs in jars, and you want to make that self-contained on each service, all right? So this is it for this Spring Boot app configuration video. I hope you guys like it. See you next time. Take care. Cheers.